volunteer here for WordPress. This is my first year at WordCamp, so I'm super excited to be able to introduce Simecka. She's going to teach us about how Pinterest will bring us more traffic. I'm really interested in doing this, so she's the expert on this. I'm just going to go ahead and read you her intro. She graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Math and Secondary Education from Baker University. She followed that up with a master's degree in Educational Technology. And after 7 years of teaching, she loved to stay at home with her daughter and began her journey as an entrepreneur. Katie taught herself how to design websites and earn money blogging. In addition to blogging, Katie is the founder of the Wonderland Launch, where she helps others launch and grow their online business. Let's welcome Katie.
Good morning. Thank you guys for coming to my session. I just have some questions up here that I really just want you to think about for a minute, and we will come back to them. I'm just interested, what kind of demographic is in here, who uses Pinterest, it's personal, for business, and if you have assumptions about Pinterest. I feel like some of you might be thinking, can I even use this? Does this fit with what I do? So you guys think about that, and then she pretty much gave me an intro. I started blogging, and my biggest success came through Pinterest. I found that it was the most return on my investment, my time. That the time spent in Pinterest gave me a lot more back than everyone's saying, oh, grow your blog through Instagram or grow it through Facebook. And I found that Pinterest and SEO are what are the best ways to go, and then Pinterest as a newbie was the easiest for me. And so I took that, and I really do enjoy blogging, but being, she mentioned I was a teacher, I was a math teacher before, so I really enjoy the actual website design part of it, and putting things together and then helping people grow their business. And through all the things that we help our clients do, my favorite is Pinterest, because they see the most results the fastest with Pinterest. And so I want to know, how many of you use Pinterest in any way? Okay, so most of you. I see some males not raising their hand. That's pretty typical. So how many of you use it for your business or a client's business? Okay, good. And then I'm guessing the rest of you that raise your hand use it for personal reasons, for crafts and recipes and just finding new ideas. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys why you should be using Pinterest, because there are a lot more topics on Pinterest than you think. So at some point, I want you to do a search, and I'll show you some examples in a little bit, but do a search in Pinterest for what you do or what your clients do. And you'll be able to then see if Pinterest really is going to work for you or for your clients, because there's a lot more in there than what you might think. It's more than remodeling your kitchen and finding the coolest looking 4th of July cake to take to the party. Okay, and then there are some statistics that I wanted to share with you guys as to why Pinterest is so awesome compared to the other social platforms. It lasts longer is the biggest reason. So as you can see up here, these are averages, and they can vary depending, but if you have a YouTube audience and you share a new video, that video can last for 20 days. And there are ways to make that last longer if you're good at keyword research and put that into your videos. But your audience is going to maybe be watching that for 20 days. Plus the people that would search for it, you can make YouTube videos last longer. Then Instagram, 21 hours. If you're on Instagram, you know how fast you scroll, and it's really only your people. Unless people are finding you through hashtags, it's still not going to last very long. So I see people spending hours and days growing their Instagram for such a short. You have to constantly be in there chugging away at Instagram. And the same with Facebook, which is even less. You're lucky to get your Facebook posting for 5 hours unless it goes viral. It's probably going to die out and not be seen again after 5 hours. Whereas Pinterest, the average is 4 months. That is a long time. One pin with some keywords for 4 months. And if you get, which should always be your goal, to the top of the search, and your pin is, when someone is searching and they find your pin, that can last for years. I have I have multiple that have lasted for a year and a half now, and they are still my #1 sources of traffic, pins that I made a long time ago. And then, okay, so here are some other reasons. Basically, the users are sent to you. You can set your pins up to bring the people to you, instead of on like Facebook and Instagram where you're always constantly trying to find followers. On Pinterest, it doesn't even matter how many followers you have. When I first started, I had nobody, and I was still getting traffic. Pinterest is not like the vanity numbers game, you know, where you're just trying to get all the big numbers, and it's kind of like an appearance thing to have all the followers. You don't even need that on Pinterest because your pins will be shown if people are searching for you. So that's why I have like people are looking for you. Whereas Instagram and Facebook, it's similar to SEO. Like people are getting into Pinterest and looking for you. They want your new ideas. And then Pinterest does this really cool thing where say someone searches for you and you are not found. And then they go to their home feed and are scrolling, and you have some content out there that is similar to what they were looking for. Maybe they're looking for tips on how to build a WordPress website. Okay, they didn't find you in the top of the search, but Pinterest likes new content. If you have made some content and pushed it out on Pinterest, they'll show you on their home feed. They don't even have to be following you. And you can be shown on their home feed. And I mentioned it can work for almost any business. If you do a search through Pinterest, you can find your topics are in there or not. And then, even if it's not, I was thinking, Pinterest is growing so much, it actually wouldn't hurt for you to be the only one in that niche or in that topic on Pinterest. Because if someone is searching for it, there's no content there, it wouldn't hurt for you to be first. Okay, so here's what I mean by searching. So this is what it looks like when you get into Pinterest, and you can go to the top search bar, and you can type in any topic. This is a way for you to find like what your audience is looking for and what they have been searching. And so I just typed in SEO, and you can see at the top there all of the keywords that other people have been searching for. And so these are the search results that came up when I typed in SEO. So they're looking for SEO tips, a course to teach them about SEO, SEO strategies, and SEO for beginners. And then these are the top pins, except that you'll notice the 10 trending products to sell. That would be a badly placed promoted pin. It doesn't really belong there. If you scroll down, it says it's a promoted pin. But otherwise, these are just, people like you and me who did a good job putting keywords into their pins and showed up for SEO. And then I have another example that people are searching for WordPress, how to build WordPress websites, tips on that. So you can use those words at the top there to create your content or to know what your audience is looking for. Okay, and then just some other random statistics that if you're not convinced yet that you need to use Pinterest, these might help you out. I'm going to have to read these a bit. So 90% of weekly users turn to Pinterest before making a purchase. 83% of women use Pinterest to plan live events. 47% of millennials purchase something they interact with. 98% of users try the ideas they find. I'm not sure where they found that statistic because I have a lot of words that were like, I should do this craft with my daughter, and I've never done it. No, we all have those mood boards, right, where we've never actually done it.
I've done 2% of the things.
Yeah.
I find.
So I don't know, but hey, that's what Pinterest said they do. So 55% of users are looking specifically for a product. So basically, more than any other platform, people on Pinterest buy. They are looking for things to buy. They're looking on there for new ideas, things to do. They're planning for everything. I mean, this is how I learned to blog. I got on Pinterest and searched how to make money online, how to make money for myself, and this is where I started. Okay, so how do we do it? Now that you know that you should do it, how are you going to do it? And I'm going to teach you basically the best methods and what you need to do to make the pins, put them on Pinterest, and get them in front of the audience that you or your clients need to be on, or to get to. Okay, so this one shouldn't be a hard one for you guys, the domain quality. of course, with anything you're doing, you're not going to get conversions if you could have the best Pinterest strategy in the world and they land on a website that is no good and they're going to bounce. Okay, so you guys know that if you are worried about your website, we do this, or I'm sure you'd find someone in this building to look at your website and help you make sure you have good quality content. And then there is a difference. If you have a personal account right now, you can make a business account. You would want to make a business account because then you would just follow the steps through Pinterest and claim your website and verify that it's you. And I would suggest, like, I've helped bloggers set up Pinterest, and you definitely want to not use your personal account. Like, don't just switch your personal account if you're going to use it for like your own business. Make a whole separate account. And then Pinterest has this thing called rich pins that you will want to set up. You will just go to Pinterest and you can look, you can just Google rich pins actually, and it's the first thing that comes up. Basically what that does is you don't have to have it, but it takes metadata from your website and puts it onto the pin in addition to what you put on your pin. So it just gives you, the user a better experience, gives them a little bit more information about what is on what content they're about to consume from your site. Okay, and then of course, what matters is pinner quality, and that is the people who are actually pinning your things. And I'll show you, but you are going to always design and do the keyword research, and you guys know this, with the client in mind, which is the people you want to be consuming your information. And so you want to make it to where they want to save it, they want to open it, they want to share it, and you want them to think, wow, why didn't I think of that? This is a great idea, this is something new I haven't heard of. And that all comes with pin design, which we're going to see in a minute. And then, of course, pin relevance. So, of course, you want your audience to relate to your pin. You want them to see the pictures and the words, and you want them to relate to it in some way. And Pinterest itself tries to be as human as possible. And they are reading your pictures, reading the words on your pin, in addition to the keyword description that you'll do. So you just need to make sure all of it fits together and that it's all relevant. You don't want to say, you know, here's some WordPress tips and then put a pretty picture of flowers on your pin, you know. Okay, so let's actually talk about the pins themselves that you're going to make. And this is a question I get a lot. What size should I make my pins? And I talk to other people who are in Pinterest, and we talk all the time about size, and every Pinterest expert gives a different answer. So the 2 to 3 ratio is what you want to keep in mind. So an example would be like 600 by 900 pixels. But like I had different clients, and what works for one is different than what works for the other. And so you have to be willing, or whoever's managing your Pinterest should be willing to try out different size pins to see what works better under your topic. But you always want it to be like longer and vertical. A lot of people go by the 600 by 900. I like a little bit longer than that, but you just try it out and see what works best for you. Pinterest is a lot like that. Try a bunch of different strategies and find what works for you. And then you want a relevant image with text overlay, which I mentioned and I'm going to show you here in a second. Okay, so here are some examples of pins from different clients that I have, and then my own blog is the one on the left. And so you can see here that these are giants in here. So we've got, this is a mom blogger, and she is giving tips on pacifiers and, should we use them? And so she's got a picture of a baby with a pacifier. And she put the main topic there of what her blog post is about, but she put just enough to make you want to click in and read it, but not enough where she's giving you all the information. So one thing that we see a lot on Pinterest is you might see like this beautiful kitchen, and you want your kitchen to look like that, and you pin that on your board, and you never click in because you just want that picture for inspiration. And Pinterest is used a lot for that. But in our world where we're marketing, we need more than just the pretty picture. You have to make people want to click through, just like if you were doing a Facebook ad. But I didn't pay for any of this, and got 10 times more traffic, than I don't even hardly use my Facebook because there's so much time you put into it, whereas the time I put into these gives me so much more. So even just looking at the middle picture, you can tell this must be about weight loss. So that's going to catch someone's eye. If they've been, researching like, I need to get fit, I want to lose some weight, they're going to see this picture, and that's going to draw them, and then they might read it. They're like, oh, intermittent fasting, I don't know anything about that. Proven results, even better, let's see what this person's results are. They're going to click through. And then the last one is an example of like keeping your house clean, so a nice, pretty pictured, clean home, and then like, oh, I have this secret that's going to keep your house clean. So you have to click in here to get that secret. So as advertisers, we want to make sure, and we know this, that we want them to click. And Pinterest works just the same way as if you're building an ad somewhere else, but it's free. You can do promoted pins, but I have not had to do that to get my traffic. Okay, so then a really big important part is the keywords that you are going to write. Every pin has a description. And when someone else pins your pin, they can change it, they can write their own description, but most of the time they do not. So you always want to set it up so that when they're sharing it, Pinterest is seeing all those keywords. The user doesn't always necessarily read. I don't know how much I actually, if I'm using Pinterest as a user, read the description, but Pinterest is reading those descriptions. And they are putting you in a category depending on your keywords. And those pictures, I forgot to say that, the Pinterest reads your image, and they're going to put you, like that one with the weight loss one, they're going to put you in similar categories with other pictures that look like losing weight. And that's how users find you, is you're put into the same category of things they're searching for. Okay, so the big things here are you want to use full sentences. And this is similar to like doing SEO work on your pages or in like your meta descriptions. So you want to use full sentence keywords and not do keyword stuffing, and I'll show you a good example and a bad example. But first, this is where you would find your keywords. So again, back into the search bar, you would type in whatever it was that you're wanting to make content for, or whatever your client is making content for, and you can see that drop down, that is not what you have been looking up. That is what is popular that other people are looking up. It's not like Google that kind of remembers your searches. Pinterest doesn't do that. It just shows you like these are popular things that other people have been searching for. And so if you're wondering, what kind of content should I be putting out to help my audience, this is where you can find those ideas. So WordPress for beginners, WordPress themes. And then again, the top search bar, I blew it up a little bit here because I didn't know if you guys would be able to see it. But these are all of the things you could be putting into your keyword descriptions. Obviously, it needs to be relevant. You can't say this content is about WordPress design if it's not about design. But you can use these words to write your description. So here is an example of a nice keyword description as a sentence using some of those keywords I found in the search. So tips on how to use WordPress for beginners. Plus, get a free cheat sheet that teaches you how to design and maintain your WordPress website. And then I have 2 hashtags, because Pinterest actually does use hashtags. It's not like Instagram. It's not like cutesy stuff like, I don't know, I love my puppies. It's like, more sensible hashtags. And you can use up to 30 hashtags. I have seen people do that. I myself stick to like 2 or 4 because I don't like it to look too crazy. But people will click into the hashtags and search. So just use like a couple of the most relevant ones that your audience would be looking in to find your tips. And then I have an example of a bad like keyword stuff. There we go. Okay. So this would be an example, a bad example. Don't do this. Don't shove all the keywords in. I see this a lot. This is actually what I did when I first started. So don't do that. It works out so much better. Think of like people are actually looking at this and reading this too. It's not just Pinterest trying to read it. And this is what Pinterest actually says not to do. They tell us to do the full sentences. Okay, so once your pins are done, you actually need to share them. And there are 3 different methods I use to share them, and I have my favorites. And I see some of these like scribbling away, so just know that I did put more words on here so that when you take all the notes you want, but it will be available if I'm going too fast. I'm going to start talking fast. Okay, so you can upload straight to Pinterest. And that's pretty easy. You just click that little red button in the corner. It'll ask you to upload your picture. You write your keyword description, and you link it to your website. And then you share it to a relevant board, and we'll talk about the boards here in a minute. I'm run out of time. Okay, so then this is kind of a blown-up picture of it in my blog. And this is actually my favorite way to do it, and what I would suggest people doing it is putting the pin actually in your blog post or your website. I know that not everyone blogs, but in your website, and then you can share it from there so that other people can share it. So I put it right in there, and I share it to my Pinterest first, and then if a user comes to me, and they're usually thinking, oh, this is a good idea that I don't want to forget, they save it to their Pinterest. You know, as opposed to like, it's different than Facebook. And I'm always like way more excited when someone shares my Pinterest than my Facebook because I know it's going to last longer. And in Pinterest, or in your website, you can set it up so that it's optimized. You can use HTML to put in a Pinterest description so that if someone clicks on the right side, like I'm going to save this to Pinterest, it will automatically save to their Pinterest board with your keyworded description. They can always change it, but they don't. They usually don't. No one cares about that part. But Pinterest cares about that part. And so some of you might be thinking, okay, I have this website, but I don't want to put like this big fat Pinterest image on it, and my content doesn't make sense for me. So you can use HTML to hide it as well. And when they push, I want to share this information to Pinterest, the pin that was hidden will automatically pop up. So there is HTML that you can use to do that. There's also a plugin. It's not free. I bought it later on. I love it. It's called Tasty Pins. And it does all, you don't have to do any HTML, it does all the keyword, has a spot for you to type in the keywords, and has a spot for you to hide pins, and to keep people from pinning other images. Because we put other images, they're like square and aren't like Pinterest worthy. You can hide them with HTML, you can also use Tasty Pins to do that. And then the last way that you can share your pins to Pinterest is through a scheduler. And it has to be a Pinterest approved scheduler. And the only one I know of is called Tailwind. There used to be another one that was not Pinterest approved. It got shut down, and so many people in the blogging world were upset. So make sure, I suggest Tailwind. I don't know of any other. Like Pinterest and Tailwind kind of work together. But basically, this is how I put a lot of content out. I can sit down and do it all at once and forget about it for a while, is by scheduling my pins. Like you can see, I even have some drafts waiting for me to work on up in the drafts tab. And I go in there, I write my keyword description just like if I was doing Pinterest. I say I want it to go on this board, and it automatically schedules it to like an optimized schedule. Like Tailwind has all these really cool analytics, and they know what time of the day my users are on, and so they will pin it like at the best times of the day. It's really cool. Okay, so I've talked about boards, and the only thing about boards is, not the only thing, but the main thing about boards is you can't forget about keywords. Keywords are, anytime you write anything in Pinterest, it needs to be keyworded down to your bio. That is what helps your account be a stronger account on Pinterest. And the stronger your account on Pinterest, the more they're going to push your pins like to the top of people's feeds, and eventually gaining you to that coveted spot at the top of the search. So here would be an example from my homemaking blog. That's what I blog about, by the way. And so I do a lot of like frugal living tips. If you want to make money blogging, don't write about minimalism and how to save money. So here is one of my boards, frugal living tips, and I used that search board, or that search bar, whatever it's called, to find my description for all. I have 100 and something boards, 109 boards. And every single one of those boards, except for my group boards that I'm not in control of, I wrote keyword descriptions for. And so everything in there, it says tips for frugal living, how to save money, live off of one income, unique ways to save money and not overspend. So things like live off of one income, frugal living, how to save money, those are things people are searching for in Pinterest. So like this pen right here is mine. It goes to back to my page. And notice it has saved money on it. And then it has saved money in the description. So they all kind of match. So Pinterest needs to learn what your content is about. Just like Google needs to learn what your content is about. Oh, this is random, but if you do better on Pinterest, Google likes that. Have you guys ever done a search for something and Pinterest results have been in the top? They kind of are friends. So if you are doing better in Pinterest, Google sees that, and sometimes your search is like, I have a physical pin that is like one of the top ones in Google Images when you search for cleaning routines or something like that. Okay, so after all that, you have to pin. That's where your time is spent, but the scheduler helps you, and the time you put into Pinterest gives you way more payoff than anything else you would spend your time on, except for maybe search engine optimization. Okay, so the cool thing is you can repin your own pins, and that is kind of the secret to me getting so much traffic. You can take your own content and repin it again to another board, to a group board or to your own board, to kind of give it a little boost. You just want to do it in a way that is user-friendly. You don't want someone to get on your Pinterest account and see 100 of the same pins. They're going to be like, wow, that person is really sandy. So yes, you do repin your own pins. And there's lots of different ways to do that, actually. You want to create new pins for old and new content. So Pinterest likes new content, just like any other platform. If they don't have new content, they don't exist. But that doesn't mean you always have to be writing new content, because I know not all of us have time to be writing new content. Not everyone's a blogger who writes a new blog post every week. Some people just maybe have a few pages of content to help people on their website. So Pinterest is okay with it, even wants you to make new images and just link them back to your older content. And sometimes that's not necessary if you get one of those that gets up in the search area. And then things that you guys would know these things is you're not paying for yourself. This isn't your Pinterest anymore. You're not paying your favorite recipes. You're paying what your audience wants. So, I found with me, like I wrote about a lot of different topics before I found what I really wanted to write about. And what picked what I wanted to write about was what I was getting the most traffic from. And so I just, after that, made sure, okay, people are coming to my Pinterest because they want to learn. I basically write about simple and productive homemaking. Like that's what they want to learn about. And so I pin that content, whether it's my own or other people's. You do share other people's content. It helps your Pinterest account grow. If you snag someone else's pin that is growing, doing really well on Pinterest, it's going to help you. That their content that's really awesome is on your board. It makes like your Pinterest account stronger. So it is kind of like a give and take, and you kind of can get in little communities with other people that have the same content as you and share each other's content. Okay, and then just some last things to keep in mind. Pinterest is, happens quick. It can happen quick, but it's kind of like the longer you do it, the more you get. Like my traffic just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes because my Pinterest account just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And it didn't happen overnight, but I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. But like I recently had a client, and in 3 weeks she hit her first 1,000 users on her website from a pin that they take off. So that's another point on here I have is it has its ups and downs. So like if you start using Pinterest and you notice like, whoa, I have this huge shot up in traffic, just know it will go down. We think that secretly Pinterest likes to cap you out for some reason. And so you go get basically viral traffic. We call it mini viral when you first start out. So like when she hit her first day of 1,000, she did go down, but it's always it has always been the new normal. If your Pinterest account starts giving you 1,000 visitors a day, and then slides back down a little bit, eventually 1,000 visitors a day will be your new normal. And then the next time you go viral, I've always seen it's been even bigger than the first time, and then that becomes your new normal. And then just like anything else, being consistent and having a strategy is what works. So, you know, if you're pinning 10 pins every day at 6 p.m. for 3 days in a row, you know, don't skip that for 2 weeks if that was working for you. So you do need to be either in there or with your scheduler, being consistent all the time, or having someone that will do it for you. Yeah, and then have a pinning strategy, which is kind of a whole other topic that I could talk about for a long time. But it's basically finding a combination of pinning other people's pins and repinning your own things and making new things to keep your account growing. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Yes?
How do you feel about effectiveness of business to business instead of business to consumer on Pinterest?
Business to business.
Like if you're marketing to other businesses instead of to consumers?
Okay, so if you're marketing to other businesses instead of consumers, I guess that all depends on if that business is really on Pinterest. I see big businesses on there, especially like the promoted pins, like Home Depot. Everyone has a Pinterest. But yeah, it really all depends on, is Pinterest the place where your audience is? So if your audience is, you know, trying to seek out other businesses, are those people getting on Pinterest to consume the information, or are they just on there to promote themselves? If they're just on there to promote themselves, it might not be the best way for you to go. Yes?
Is that Tailwind scheduler that you're talking about? Can you manage multiple accounts
Yes.
From that?
Yes, I have multiple accounts in there. And so you do have to pay for each separate account, but yeah, you just click like the little profile picture and I can toggle down to all my clients and switch back and forth.
And then, does it only do Pinterest, or can you schedule to other platforms as well?
They have an Instagram scheduler too.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like it lets you, it gives you a ton of analytics, even that Pinterest doesn't, about like your performance. And what it helps me the most with is knowing which of my boards are performing the best. So I tend to pin more to my top boards because I know if I pin here, it's going to get seen faster than if I pin to a lesser board. Yes?
Just a tad late, but I did notice that it had an analytics tab on the page.
Oh yes, it does have an analytics tab.
So I'm kind of wondering, does it show like click-through rates, like how often do people
Yes.
click through?
Yes, it does. Yeah, okay, so Pinterest is, the way people describe Pinterest in this world is funny sometimes. It's like that ex-girlfriend who wants to break up with you but never leaves you alone. The analytics, they do show, it shows you how many people are seeing your pin. It shows you how many people are clicking through to your pin, and how many people are clicking on it. You know, because you can click on it, but not necessarily click through it. So if they wanted to get a closer look. So it shows you all that. Yeah, it shows you like trend lines of people seeing your Pinterest. One thing, we nice about showing you guys. It'll show you your monthly viewers. So like, I think right now I'm at like 1 million monthly viewers. So that's like how many people are seeing your pins in a month. It does give you a lot of good analytics. I do find that like you can get your Google, or in Google Analytics, you can look up your Pinterest traffic, like what is being referred to your website. That's how I find my top pins. I go into Google Analytics, I find my referring traffic. It gives me the URL for the pin that have been bringing me traffic, and those are the ones I repin, are the ones that are actually working. You know, so sometimes they die.
Is that how you're determining, because you said someone had like X amount of viewers on their website, are you determining through your website analytics?
Yes.
That's where
Yeah, I'm using Google Analytics to see my Pinterest traffic, yeah. And to see what top, like, you want to use your top pins. You'll make pins sometimes that don't work. Either because they just didn't get placed in the right spot, or maybe they were bad. Maybe because the image Pinterest didn't really know what the image was about. So don't repin those ones. Repin the ones that are actually working for you, and you can find those in Google.
So are you creating your graphics and everything in Pinterest, or are you using something like Canva and then putting it there?
I use Canva. That's a great question. I do not consider myself a designer, like a graphic designer. My husband actually hosts a lot of the graphic designer stuff, but I do all of the pins or most of the pins. And yeah, you don't have to know what you're doing in the beginning to design a pin. You can teach yourself using free things like Canva. And then if you're already awesome at graphic design, that'll be easy for you. Yeah, I do simple pins. They were simple. Simple I actually think is better. It does better.
What do you use for photography? And then sometimes I've seen where I click on a pin and the picture will still be like really small. But the ones that I like are the ones where I click on and the picture gets a lot bigger.
Right, okay. So she asked, what do I use for photography? And then kind of about why are some images smaller on Pinterest? And so when you, I'll answer the size one first. When you click on an image and maybe it's not as big as you're wanting it to look, that's just whoever created the pin, not using a big enough image. And then, or sometimes, and after I learned more, in the beginning, people would pin from my website and like pin my face for like, 10 tips for staying organized, cave states. So I'm like, why are you doing that? There's a beautiful image there, use that one. You can hide those, which I learned later. And so sometimes, users are pinning random stuff from websites because they don't know what they're doing, or they're just putting on a word and saying, I'll read that later. And then as far as photography, I'm glad you asked that question because it's actually really important that the pictures you choose need to be unique. And so when I first started, I was doing everything as free and as scrappy as possible, and I either took my own pictures or I used free stock photos. And I found that when I was using my own pictures, that my pins would do better. My top pin of all time still is a picture of me vacuuming my living room. It's really weird, but it has like a thing on it that says, get control of your house with something. Simple cleaning something. So eventually I invested in stock photos, and those do well too. So it's because like Pinterest, once you have unique images, if it's free, I found a lot of people were using it for different things, and then Pinterest was getting confused on what that picture was about, or they thought that picture was about makeup, and you're wanting to use it for something else. So yeah, use like as unique images as you can. Paid stock photos work pretty well. Okay, I'll get to you next.
I was just wondering, on the shopping Pinterest, are you working with any clients that are using that? We seem to have we've got a couple of clients at our firm that are really wanting to explore the
shopping part?
Of it.
Yeah.
But we haven't had that much, because they'll pin it, and it's almost like an assisted buy. Like, they'll see it, they'll pin it on Pinterest, they'll wait a couple of months, and then they'll go to the website and then purchase it there, or they'll go to Facebook and purchase it there. So when you try to show them the analytics, they're like, Facebook's killing it. Why isn't our Pinterest money going as far?
Right. So you do, in that aspect, if it's not like, doesn't give you like the call to action, like you need this now.
Right.
It does make it harder because a lot of what people use Pinterest for is planning. And so like people are planning for Christmas now. Like,
But you're not such.
right, so they're putting stuff on their boards, and then they're going and they're remembering that idea, or they're looking at it and finding another way to buy it. So that's why like the advertising type aspect of the pin is important, I guess. She had a question sorry.
Oh, that's
And then I'll get to you.
Okay, so I'm fairly new to Pinterest because it was too overwhelming. Can you expound on what you mean by you have 109 boards? Your
Yes.
boards are like, what does that mean, a board, and why do you have 109?
Okay, so when you make your own Pinterest account, personal or business, you have like boards that so if I'm making a personal account, I might have a board that's like kids crafts and vacation ideas, dinner recipes. And then, so when you have your business, you make all your boards for your different categories of the content that you are sharing. And you can even make more than one board for the same content. So like so an example might be like WordPress websites and like tips for using WordPress. So they kind of share the same content, but it gives you an extra place to pin your own pins to. So yeah, you have boards on Pinterest, and that's where your pins live. And the stronger the keywords in every area, the stronger your board is. The reason I have 109 is because when I first started, group boards were a big deal. So I probably have about, 50 of my own that are just me, and maybe 50 group boards. Group boards were a huge deal when I started. They still are helpful, but they're not as big of a big deal. And so a lot of those boards are group boards, meaning there's other people on them, and we share each other's content. So that's why I have so many. So I do have accounts that have like 30 boards. So it's kind of, what works for you. But yeah, I have an account and she does pretty well, and she has about 30 boards. Okay, in the back had a question.
Yeah, I have gotten back to Pinterest, to your point. It's my biggest traffic referral source. And so, you know how there's the 3 components when you go and you see a pin, there's like one, I think it's how many view it, and then there's a couple. Anyway, like sometimes I'll have a lot in that first one, but very few in the other 2 components. So should I focus on my image, you think, or my keywords, or like the title of the pin? What might help bump those other 2?
Okay, so she's asking, when you click into a pin and you have a business account, you can see the analytics of that one individual pin. You can see how many people are viewing it, how many people are zooming in, and how many people are clicking to your website. And ideally, your most important number is how many people are clicking to your website. So she's asking how to make that number grow. She has a lot of impressions, people seeing it. How do I get my click-through rate to be higher? Keywords is probably the first thing that is going to help that, because Pinterest is going to see what it's about. Yeah, and then the actual image with a keyword or 2 in your title or on the actual graphic. Does that make sense? Yeah, the actual graphic is what your users are looking at, and what's making them click through is what that graphic says.
Okay.
Okay. You have another question, Matt?
Yeah, I'm so good at answering things.
That's fine.
But, so I heard that there is nested boards now. Is that true?
What can
That you can do like a big topic, let's say WordPress, and then you can do a subtopic like design, develop,
Yes.
creative, and then sub-design like, you can nest many boards into.
Yeah, yes. So he's asking, he's using the word nested. Can you nest your board? So basically, can you like put separate categories in your boards? And yes, you can do that now. And I have some boards that I do that with and some that I don't. Pinterest themselves, it says, yes, you should do that. It actually helps with the keywords. So basically, you make a board for like WordPress help, and then inside, you can make little sections. So maybe you do like design, plugins, themes, and you have different categories within one board. And that does help because it adds extra keywords into your board.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, I provide services like B2B, like this man said as well. And most of our clientele want to know, how is this going to make monetary sense? Like, how is this going to make you money? So what's your angle when you go, or I don't know if you offer this service to clients? Is it the website traffic? How does Pinterest turn into dollars for them?
Right, okay. So yeah, that does depend on what they're landing on the website. So you want to get them to land on your website, and then what is going on there is what's going to earn you the money. So my Pinterest has got me my email subscribers. So I have pins out there that promote them to what I capture people to get my emails. And pretty much the only reason why I have an email list is because I have pins that have gone viral and are in the top of the search that lead right back to, hey, I'll give you this really cool thing if you sign up for my email. And then email marketing. So kind of like it's a transition. So email marketing can make money, or I have, like, you can take pins to your product pages or to like the landing pages of whatever you're selling. So that is how, I mean, people do make money on Pinterest. Like, you can put affiliate links straight into your pins, and then that moves back to like the product, or straight back to your product page. So yeah, that's how you would make money, is where is your pin leading.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yes.
So you were talking about using a Tailwind to schedule them, but can you, is Hootsuite a good one to use for scheduling?
I don't think Hootsuite does Pinterest. Yeah, the only one I've heard of, like Hootsuite, is for Instagram, and I really think Tailwind is the only Pinterest approved scheduler. I don't think so. I've never heard of that one, so you might be careful. Because things have got shut down before and people were very upset.
Promo Republic is a schedule that does a lot.
Is it?
PromoRepublic.com.
Promo Republic?
Promo Republic.
You can actually schedule with Pinterest, but only like 2 weeks out. And it's kind of a new feature, so it's not like too fancy, but they do have that option now. Okay, and I think we had a question in the back.
Pinterest has changed a lot in like the last couple of months even. You know, the group boards you talked about, those used to be really popular, or there's the tribes, or do you think it should stay on your page if you're a new business starting out and pin on that stuff? Like, where should you spend your time and really focus? Is it the boards, the tribes, or your own stuff?
I think you should, in the beginning, really focus on your own stuff. I find that the time I spent getting on the group boards was so much time, and some of those group boards are trash because the people who own them don't take care of them. They didn't keyword very well in the description of the board, and if I put a pin on there, it does nothing. It doesn't go anywhere. So if you know people, in your network that you can build group boards together and put it there saying, hey, we're going to pin each other's content, that helps. But yeah, I would spend your time building your own account with your own keyworded boards, pinning your own things to those boards, and pinning third-party content to those boards to help those boards grow and be stronger.
And how many times a day would you pin? Because at first it was like 100 times, like these ridiculous numbers that are just not realistic. And now I've heard it's more like in the 30.
Yeah,
a day.
Everyone says different
Yeah,
things
different
too.
numbers.
Is what size should it be? How many a day?
Yeah.
And it does kind of vary on account. But yeah, some people say 100 pins a day. I personally think that's crazy.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Like 30, yeah, I would say 30 pins a day. As long as you're consistently doing that every day, yeah, is better than 100 pins a day. Because 100 pins a day gets kind of spammy, and you do run into bad pins. If you have the time, actually click into the pins that you're going to pin, because they could be landing somewhere you don't actually want your people to go. That happens a lot. There's actually quite a bit of spam out there. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
I have a personal account with 5,000 followers. Is there any way to,
Yeah, there is. And so the only reason I mentioned before, is to not use your personal account is because you might have things on there. It makes it easier for you to actually use in your specific topic. But what you can do is, you can change your personal to a business account, but still make sure that what you're sharing and the boards that you have are for your users. So if you want to pin something for you that doesn't have anything to do with your users, you can make the boards secret. So that's actually what I did when I first started, and I would do it differently now though, but I went through and made all my boards secret that are like when I'm going to get my hair cut, on the style I want, I made that all secret, and then I made a bunch of new boards that go with my current content. So it can be done.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, I think we're out of time.
We're out of time. Don't forget to fill out these surveys for Katie and leave them in the back. There's a basket over there, and I greatly appreciate it. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.